All right. Hello, everybody. Let me figure out how to pause this music. Welcome to Short Form Sips here with Viral Moment and The Sweet Spot. I am super excited to bring you today an in-depth look at what is happening across tea and coffee on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. We have a lot to get through today and some amazing information that I'm really excited to share. So I'm going to hop right on into it and get us all going. So a little bit about who you're talking with today. We have Tina here, who is our main headliner, and I'm so excited that she's here. She is the co-founder of Sweet Spot. She's taken the information that that we could get to her from the tea and coffee IQs within Viral Moment, which we'll learn about in a second. And she's done an amazing deep dive into like, what is the culture? Why does it matter? Who's talking about it? How does this affect your brand, your products, and the way in which you can strategize how to stay relevant today? You also have myself, Elizabeth here, head of growth, and we have Chris from partnerships over at Viral Moment as well. So you'll hear from all of us as we start going. Very quickly, just want to hop in and chat a little bit about what we're doing today. So we're going to talk really quickly about trend surfing. We're just going to level set what it is that we do, why do you care, why is it important to you, and then we're going to pull Tina on up here to have a bigger conversation with us about why it's essential to find the sweet spot, how she goes about that, and the methodology behind the findings, so that you can understand more when she starts to talk about what she actually dove into with the conversations, the tribes, and the triggers happening across tea and coffee. We're going to have a special offer at the end so you can learn more about Viral Moment and Sweet Spot and how you can partner with us to get some amazing data and insights for your brand. And of course, there'll also be a Q&A. During the call at any point, feel free to drop questions as you have them. We'll be in the background answering them on the fly if we can, and we'll also go ahead and answer them at the end too. So don't hesitate to ask. All questions are welcome, and we're really excited to dive deeper into this. Awesome. So I will go ahead and just chat really quickly about trend surfing, get you into the right headspace here. So at Viral Moment, we help businesses trend surf. We use data to combine the art and the science of anticipating the consumer so that you can create at the speed of culture. And so we do this so that your brand knows how to stay relevant. They know who to talk to, they know how to talk to them, and they know why it matters. And we provide you with the data from around the social video and inside the social video on any topic that you care to look at so that you can better understand these conversations. We look at the audio and transcribe that. So you know if I'm sitting here talking about Starbucks, but Starbucks isn't anywhere around, you'll know that information about your brand or your competitor. We're able to pull the text on the screen, the objects on the screen. We use the logos, the products, and more so that we can give you a full and holistic view of what's actually happening in those conversations, and you're not missing a beat where your brand can plug in and actually seamlessly work. And that's what we do with Tina. We gave her access to our Trend Surfer IQ for tea and coffee, which is the industry IQ that just looks at the holistic industry of tea and coffee. What are those conversations? Where are brands showing up agnostically? And what's like happening inside of them. So Tina went ahead, she dove deep into all of the data around tea and coffee, and I am really excited for her to bring you all that information. So without further ado, I'm gonna leave the screen and we'll pull Chris off of here. We're gonna make Tina the only one up here, and she's gonna rock and roll through this.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, or good morning if you're in America, or good afternoon if you're in the UK like me. So just going to explain a little bit, first of all, about why Sweet Spot even exists. So we know that the world is covered in data. There is data everywhere. It gets super complicated. So what's the best way of kind of finding the sweet spot? So basically what our process is, if you can move forward there, please, Elizabeth. Thank you. Basically, our process is that we want to try and find the more meaningful narratives, because we feel that the current sort of research methods, Mintel, Kantar, industry reports in general, they deliver on the what and the who, but not necessarily the why. And we can find that data from social listening. We can also understand what is relevant to people right now and in the future, and give a clear mindset to those brands so they don't just get stuck in industry noise or within the noise of their own brand, and really understand what people want from their category or from the market. So how do we do this? It's a nice little exercise here, but basically, when you go and you do social listening or you do research of any kind, you're hoping that you find the new opportunities. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they surprise you. But really, the key thing about all of this, because of the massive data sets of millions of conversations that Viral Moment offers, it's really about focus. So your brand might have, or your client might have, hundreds of opportunities available to them from lots of different areas. But what we are able to do using the social listening data is understand, where do you focus? Where do you focus your time and your investment and your effort? And that sometimes is more valuable than finding the new stuff, because once you've found that thing, you can't unsee it. So if anyone wants to try and find the potato. I can kind of point out, I think I can point out with my mouse where it is. It's kind of like 3 rows from the bottom and on the right, and then 4 across. So once you have seen that, you can't unsee it. Now you see the potato amongst the hamsters. So once you see that, there you go. Thank you, Elizabeth. So once you see that data, once you see that opportunity, that's it. That's where your focus is. And that's what social listening data is brilliant at, and how that aligns with your brand is sort of what we go on to do. So yeah, basically today we're going to be going through, tea and coffee, but the process that we do can be applied to any product or service, or we can dig deep into particular communities or cohorts as needed. And Chris, I believe, has a fantastic offer at the end for you to experience that with your brand. But for now, I'm just going to go into tea and coffee insights. So the first part of our process is all about hunches. And hunches is all based on secondary research. And the reason we do this is because we want to know what keywords and hashtags we're going after. So it's really important to make sure that those keywords and hashtags give us the data we need for your brief. So hunches within tea and coffee space based on secondary research could be sustainable consumption, home brewing boom, personalized shopping, health-focused, RTD demand, ready-to-drink demand, functional, unique sensory experiences, focus on craftsmanship, popularity of decaf, and curated boxes. And if you're in tea and coffee now, you might be looking at 1 or all 10 of these or more. But what we're going to do, like I said earlier, is we're going to look at where it is you need to focus and where you just need to be aware of. So we're going to start that process by looking at the key conversations within tea and coffee over the last 6 months on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. The first key conversation is, how do I use it? So even in a cost of living crisis, people are investing in becoming an at-home barista, whether that's tea or coffee. But the problem that they're having is that they can't really figure out how to get that authentic taste. They know they kind of want to save money on Costa or Starbucks takeaway coffees, but they can't necessarily recreate that experience at home. They're having trouble with that. So any content that's out there that's to do with educating people on how to create that authentic taste or authentic look is getting a lot of love right now. The next one is around hot drink habits. And this is a massive opportunity. I said not always there is a good opportunity, but with this one, it's a focus and it's an opportunity, because this is all about the morning mission. People get up in the morning and generally they think about caffeine. That's not necessarily the case now. There's a cultural shift here. People are now looking for mental and physical support throughout the day. So they're looking at healthy, spicy lattes, decaf options, all of that type of thing. The morning mission is massive, and it's such a big opportunity because people want to do it every morning. It'll become a kitchen cupboard staple. The next one is cultural curiosity, and this is really born from the pandemic where people couldn't travel anywhere, but this has carried on and grown massively into various categories, and it's definitely dominating tea and coffee right now, because this is all around people wanting to experience different authentic cultural rituals, if you like. So anything from sort of Spanish lattes to Thai teas in a bag, which is going to be massive according to the data. It's all about creating new habits and all of this, but it's mainly about exploration of different worldly tastes. And then you've got the see-through movement. So this is where people are becoming a little bit more experiential. And instead of it just being a product, it needs to be an experience. It needs to be a multi-sensory experience. So people need to not only taste for it to taste great, it needs to be visually great, texturally great, touch great, all of those things. So what does this mean? So overall, the macro trend is we've got this rise of the considered consumer. They're happy to invest. They want to create an experience. They're thinking about their mental and physical capabilities throughout the day. And there is a massive opportunity to experiment with serves beyond your product and beyond the purchase, which creates a lot of retention. So moving forward from there, we're just going to go through some of the key trends that we have here. So the key coffee trends that are coming up mainly, you've got the brown sugar shaken espresso, which really is all about the ice and the ASMR. Anywhere where there's kind of ASMR going on now, in real life or online, it's becoming extremely popular. So this is the optimum of it, is a brown sugar shaken espresso. Then you've got the cracking chocolate latte, which creates this magnum sound. So it's sort of cocktail techniques. People put in chocolate around like plastic cups and glasses and things like that, and then when you crack it, the chocolate is going into the coffee, and again, experiential. Then you've got the whipped honey Dalgona. Obviously, Dalgona being massive during the pandemic is starting to come back up again, but mainly because of the texture side of things, the multi-sensory side of things. The thicker, the better. So people are trying to create that thickness and that foam at home. And then mushroom coffees. So this is all about, the key conversation around that first beverage in the morning and how it's going to set me up for the day. And then you've got key tea trends. So key tea trends here are Thai teas in a bag, which according to the data is going up as quickly as bubble tea that we looked at sort of a couple of years ago. Then you've got the matcha iced tea latte, in particular with experimenting with colours. I mean, at the moment you see a lot of green, and there's a lot of messaging around health and decaf, making it feel like the better option. But now you've got people integrating colour into this. So you've got orange matcha, pink matcha, all sorts of things going on. Chai tea latte has become really popular because of Taylor Swift's recipe around chai iced sugar cookies. So everyone's trying to create their own chai tea lattes at home. And then you've got Boba Flight, which again is sort of an extension of the experiential mindset, because this is about going out there and trying lots of different flavours of boba tea and putting them all together to create your own sort of personalised tastes. And you've got the wild card, those cultural aspects that appear out of nowhere and everyone jumps on board with them. And most recently, that has been the rise of tea parties, thanks to Bridgerton. We call them wild cards because they are faddy in a sense. They only exist for a little while, but they will help you get massive reach while they're around. So always worth considering. So what's this mean overall from a strategic perspective? Well, there's an increase in mastering the art of the barista at home. Well, why? We've said the macro trend is around, cost of living crisis, essentially. People are trying to avoid getting the Starbucks and the Costa. But the barrier to this is that they need to be able to master that skill. And at the moment, they don't feel they are. So any ingredients or any products that are allowing them to create that serve is something that they will invest in. So it's a massive opportunity for tea and coffee brands. There are 4 different attitudinal mindsets that we've found within the tea and coffee space with these conversations. The first one is experiential enthusiasts, and they're the ones that are doing the boba tea and they're playing with their matcha and turning it different colours and all of that type of thing. Then you've got the level uppers. They want to be educated. They want to understand how to create that authentic taste at home. The health guardians are more interested in their physical and mental aspirations for the day and really want to be informed on the ingredients and things that they're putting into their system. And then the cultural explorers are really curious. They're interested in experiencing everything that every single country has to offer, and they'll jump on and tell all their friends about it. So just to explain a little bit more about these, you will be getting the full report, but just generally. So like I said, experiential enthusiasts, it's really all about the multi-sensory. The more multi-sensory you can make your product or your serve or the experience, the better. That's going to attract them. That's going to make them talk. And then the level uppers, like I said, it's all about education. They're passionate learners. They're following people who are doing it correctly, but they do want shortcuts as well. So bear that in mind. Health guardians are all kind of all about wellness and holistic living, but really they're sort of everyday people that just want to avoid long-term health issues and also are interested in almost biohacking themselves in subtle ways. Then you've got cultural explorers, and these are the ones that if you have a product with any sort of heritage, that needs to be told to them. That story needs to be told to them, that the story of the serve, the ritual, they will recreate it from scratch and they will invest to do so. So then we move on to triggers, because that's a really easy thing to find when it comes to social listening data. Essentially, this is based on getting attention of the audiences. And you can really easily see the types of stimuli that evoke emotion and action. And those cultural cues or triggers, they can replicate the desired outputs that we want. So if we go through the insights, we'll be able to see what the opportunities are in terms of triggers to get people's attention. So the first insight went through was consumers are craving multisensory food experiences from beverages. The assumption, oh, can you go back? Thanks. So it's all about, understanding how people can get out of your product the taste, touch, smell, all of those things are really crucial for creating that experience. But the assumption at the moment, and I've worked with lots of drinks brands, is that taste, right? Taste is going to make acquisition. Liquid to lips, that's the goal we're after. But unfortunately, it's extended from this now. It's not just about liquid to lips. It is about touch, smell, all of those other things, visual, really important, hearing, ASMR, everything in real life to create that multi-sensory experience. So this is the opportunity and the trigger. And this is all about the macro trend of the dopamine rush. And if you can encourage people to experiment and really, with your product, add that level of experimentation for multisensory, that's going to encourage people to invest in your product and try new things at home. And also think about what we said before in terms of, key conversations, see-through glassware, matches going different colors. Like, how can your product be different? How can people change it at home with what they have available, or does your product change on its own? How does it create that experiential experience at home? Are you doing that at the moment? Is there kind of a level up version that you can offer? That's the opportunity. And not only is that an opportunity for purchase and consumption, that is a massive opportunity as well for people replicating it back onto social media, and the cycle begins all over again. Anything visual goes straight onto Instagram, straight onto TikTok. So, consider that when you're thinking about NPD. The next one is all around consumers are becoming more curious about different cultures and are seeking products that offer a deeper connection to diverse traditions and origins. So people are looking more into how can I experience what I would be experiencing in that country authentically, right? I know that word is used to death, authentic, but in this case, it's very true. They want to do the ritual down to its bare bones. They want to understand the history of that ritual, and they want to replicate it at home with all the equipment and things that come with it and the authentic taste and all of those things. But surely as a product, you need to concentrate on quality and benefits over origin. Well, yes, absolutely. Your product needs to be great quality and it needs to have lots of benefits. But origin is a really good place to start thinking and getting people's attention and telling the story of your brand, because people will listen to it. So the opportunity here is cultural curiosity. And as you can kind of see from these AI images, you can see how people, almost like replicating that cultural experience at home. So highlight traditional preparation methods, rituals and ingredients to spark these would-be coffee and tea masters. There is a lot of content around masters of certain things, like masters of chai tea or masters of something else. It's a real keyword. So if you're doing any type of education around your product, definitely use that as a thing as a relatable trigger. The next insight is around the first beverage of the day. So it's seen as a crucial start, but not necessarily for energy. It's about overall wellness rather than just a caffeine boost. Some of you here might have heard of the 5 a.m. plan, which is basically getting up at 5 a.m. rather than 6 a.m. and working out and doing yoga and doing meditation, all of that type of stuff. This very much stems from it. It's all about daily rituals. And there's a massive opportunity here, as I said earlier, for cupboard staples. So you're not just talking about milk or eggs or those basics. Those basics are turning into things that fuel people as well, but not just from an energy perspective, from a mental balance perspective or a physical wellness perspective, or just trying to proactively stave off any potential illnesses or aches. There is a massive opportunity here in the morning mission for brands to jump on. So the assumption is, caffeine based. So obviously the opportunity here, as I've talked about, is, can you move forward, Elizabeth? Sorry. Thank you. The new morning mission. So consider what your tea or coffee product would look like in regards to the new morning mission, how that would be a cupboard staple. You need to highlight the physical and mental benefits of your product to start the day with this ritual. And that will give huge amounts of success to your product, because, as I said, it will be on their shopping list as much as oat milk or milk or eggs or anything else will be that is something that is bought every single day. Here are some of the key ones that we found. Obviously, mushroom coffee, seen that a few times in the comments. I've got some myself. Apple cider vinegar as well as a go-to staple, and one that's sort of coming up is the golden milk latte. So definitely think about the morning mission. Then finally, we've got consumers are happy to invest to recreate the authentic taste and experience of a shop at home, but only if they feel confident that they can. So they need to be able to know that they can recreate that authentic taste. Does your product allow them to do that in the easiest way possible? But are people going to invest in that? Are they actually going to invest in recreating that experience at home? As we said earlier, there's a cost of living crisis. So obviously people aren't investing in the future, but actually the macro trend is driving this. So the opportunity here, Elizabeth, you can move forward, is barista level taste. So how can you deliver that level of barista level taste at home, but make it simple? Make it simple for them. People are going out and they are creating their own chai teas and all sorts of things, boiling and all of this. But actually, how can you make it easy? If you've got a ready to drink product, for example, how could you encourage the serve? A certain type of glass, a certain type of accompaniment, a certain way in which it's presented, you'd recommend, essentially turning the Jaeger into a Jaeger bomb. How could you present it in a different way, but keep the taste and allow them to have that level of authenticity for that taste? But not have to put in all the work. So that's a massive opportunity there and trigger that you can use as well. So you'll get the report, but here's an oversight of all the triggers. You've got multisensory, cultural curiosity, morning level up, and barista level taste. So what is the right direction? We started with this in the very beginning in terms of the hunches. Well, based on the data and the analysis and the actual insights we have here, sustainable consumption kind of comes into it. It's a bit of a maybe. It's sort of cross everything. Think about it, but it's not what to focus on. Home brewing boom is absolutely something to focus on. Personalized shopping, maybe, but health focus, absolutely. RTD demand, maybe, depends on if you're playing with the experiential side. Functional, 100%. Unique sensory experiences, that's probably the most important one. Focus on craftsmanship when it comes to cultural curiosity. Yes, tell the story. And popularity of decaf as option. But maybe not so much curated boxes. There's not so much. There used to be a lot of that going on, but now that seems to be going down, and people want to create their own authentic taste rather than create their own at home. That's more sort of the boba flight stuff where they're creating tastes out and about rather than at home. So here's some of the sort of ideas that you can put forward in regards to these insights, because data and insights are fun to talk about, but you don't want them just left on the shelf. Like, you want to do something with them. So here's some execution thoughts. So first one is multi-layered MPD. If you are considering creating a product that is a tea or coffee product or an accompaniment to a tea and coffee product, definitely think about the multi-sensory type of thing. What color is it going to be? Is it going to be able to change color? Is it going to change in some way, shape, or form? What the texture is it going to be? So definitely worth thinking about. Morning missions, like I brought up earlier, but you can put this mindset out there. It's already there. You've got communities talking about it. You as a brand just need to talk about it, how your product fits into the morning mission, what you deliver for that customer for that day, and how that affects their mental and physical wellness. And then you've got master the brew. So this is all about education and, the whole master type of thing. So master of tea and coffee and all of this. People watching lots of videos around how to do this. So as a brand, if you can educate them, and your product is a great way of kind of getting them there faster to that authentic taste and texture of a coffee shop, then even better. So educational content is absolutely key here to get this, to get these customers. Then you've got experiential extras. So this one's a bit fun. You can play with the serve. Like, it's not just about your product, it's what it's presented in and what you would recommend it's presented in. So have a think about accompaniments like, spray flavors or aroma sticks, or things that just kind of bring out more of the multi-sensory type of thing, and use them as accompaniments with your product. And people will be encouraged to do more experiential stuff at home and experiment themselves. Trace your taste is all about understanding the stories behind the culture of your flavors and of your products. People want to know. Put the QR codes on the packaging, right? Because they want to be able to see where it's come from, but also the rituals behind it, the hundreds of years that have gone into it, and the people that have made it happen over those years, the masters that are from hundreds of years ago. They want to be able to see all that. They want it to see it's authentic, and when they taste it, it's the same authentic taste that it was 1,000 years ago. And then finally, you've got sensory packaging. Mental wellness does play a part in this, and for those on the spectrum, or just mental wellness in general, sensory packaging is starting to come up as quite a big thing. But because this is also within the experiential area, this sort of adds to the multi-sensory aspect of it. So really think about the packaging side of things. It's not just about the product and how the product is served. It's also how can you deliver on that experience at the very beginning, at the shop a bit, or at the moment it comes through their door, the experience begins. So that's quite a big opportunity to go after as well, and differentiate yourself from other tea and coffee brands. Yeah, so that's all the insights around tea and coffee. Well, that's some anyway, but the most we can do within half an hour. So I'm just going to pass you over to Chris to talk more about everything else, the offer and so forth.
Yeah, that was great, Tina. And I just want to take a couple minutes and kind of like summarize. That was a lot of good information, right? And as I was listening to it, I had a lot of like aha moments about myself, right? Like the whole experience. Like I just envision an ideal morning for me is, and this is gonna date me, but I like want a shaker, like I'm Tom Cruise in the movie Cocktail in the late 80s, and I want to like get into it, pour that perfect drink, right? Clear glass, line it with that special sauce, and just like have that barista experience and taste without leaving the comforts of my home. So had a nice little realization about what I'm looking for in my morning experience. But then I also think that it's very telling too on just how it's much more than just caffeine, right? I think a lot of the conversation is how many milligrams of caffeine can you pack in within an 8-ounce cup, but there's so much more to it now, and that's really exciting. Whether it's matcha or it's lion's mane or it's turmeric, and I actually started taking this like it's called like a little like elixir, right, for in the morning, where it's like all these different healthy flavors with like just a little bit of caffeine. And so I'm also starting to notice some of my tastes and preferences kind of move away from the traditional just like black coffee and iced tea, although I will go to it consistently when I need to, when I need like an afternoon pick me up. But in the morning, especially, it's like, hey, how do I be more preventative in my health and wellness? And it's important to have those ingredients in my morning routine. So this is really helpful. So one of the questions was, Tina, not to put you on the spot, but one of the questions that came up was, do you see any brands, or do any brands come to mind that are putting some of these trends to use, that are maybe a step ahead of these trends compared to their competitors, whether it's on the coffee side or the tea side, whether it's the healthy ingredients or leaning into that at-home purchase? Or what are you seeing on your side?
To be honest, it's a lot of the smaller brands, and it's a lot of the type of food van mentality, if you like. So where they can be quite agile and they can jump on these trends, but also, you're seeing the start of it now, which means that when it starts coming into the mainstream, it's something that people are very, very aware of. And those smaller brands have actually created that mindset for you, for big brands to step into and go, hey, there's all these customers now, we can do this. But bigger brands, no, not so much. I mean, social listening data, the way it's so clever is that it delivers on organic conversations. And obviously we take out all the hashtag ads, so we don't look at anything manufactured, which means that, we're looking at things people are doing organically. It's amazing how many brands we've worked with over the years that are not aware of certain behaviors. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it's just sort of industry noise, and you need to step out of that, and you need to look at what people are actually doing and saying, what they're doing in their own homes with not just your products, but within the category. Yep. Or just themselves. So to answer your question, no big brands. So massive opportunity to step in and really think differently.
Well, and I like too that within, again, a lot of really good findings, but within your report here too, in your presentation today, you also mentioned that people or consumers will lean into making that, barista flavor and taste at home if they have the confidence. So immediately where I go to is, for those who know me know that I'm very like uncrafty whatsoever. Like, unless it's like painting or like changing a light bulb, like I can't do it. So oftentimes I have to look up like DIY, online or on YouTube. And it's, some of the videos from some of the big hardware stores, right, whether it's a Lowe's or Home Depot, have millions and millions of views on how to like fix your sink, or like, I don't know, clean your AC unit, your HVAC, which I just learned is a thing. But here I feel like it's, hey, how to, in like making that perfect like chai latte, or making that perfect, like I think there's an opportunity there where a Starbucks or a Dunkin' can have like a how-to video series on how to make that, that perfect thing. Because if you're not going to go to the local store, or if you're not going to go see your favorite barista at one of those brands, they still want that interaction with their consumer, right? So I feel like how-to videos, and what I really want to know is like, how do I like make designs with the cream and the milk, like, and I want to get really artistic with it and like really push the boundaries there. So if any of the brands are listening, let's get into it on that one. But then too, you also mentioned the again, like, what are some of the kits, or like how can they make it easy for us as consumers to do this, have the right equipment, right? It's often with the right tools. Using that same example of like at home do it yourself things, like I also don't have the right tools. I mentioned to a friend the other week, like I was going to go to Home Depot, and he's like, for what, a hammer? And I was like, oh, nice. Okay, great. So I think the other thing is like, hey, if you package this with like the coffee set and the right shaker and the right, utensils that I need, like make it really easy for me to like bring that experience at home for when I want it. Does that sound right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of sort of student to sage, if you like, sort of communication going on there. So people looking to masters and so forth to do all of that, but then do it on the cheap and the most convenient way possible. So we're seeing a lot of, milk foamers and things like that going on. Here in the UK, you've got Lidl basically copying everything off social media because they're very, very good at it. And, doing the template type of stuff, so you can do all of that. But at the end of the day, it kind of needs to come down to, what ingredients are you using in order to create that authentic taste. So even though those things kind of work in a sense, if a brand were to say, well, it's our product that delivers that authentic taste, even if you're using, these cheap things or whatever, then you're just kind of fitting into that ecosystem and into that belief system that you can just jump on really quickly and suddenly be a part of the kitchen every single day.
Yep.
It's also fascinating
Yep,
too, I think, is like you the way that we had talked earlier about like the tribe. So there's this old school thinking of like, hey, like I need to find my consumer. And so way back when, we only thought about consumers as, blonde, female, 40s, lives in Florida, or like whatever, whatever it is. Like it was very like demographic kind of information. You just bucketed people. And so what you've done really well, and I think what social video and insights allows us to do, is actually break down who the person is, not just what they are. And I think that's just so much more valuable to brands, because a brand like Starbucks could be like, hey, like we don't really fit in with the cultural people right now, but we have this amazing thing that we can do to bring this whole experience like of Starbucks to the home. Like, let's focus on that section of the consumer. And I think like as a brand starting to move away from just these like demographic segments, we need to move more towards like, what do these people care about and how do they define their likes and their interests? And that's going to really help brands to hone in on what trends do I need to hop on? Where are these people and what is it that they care about? And I think just like defining customer segments in that fashion, the way that you did it, is way more fascinating, and I think way more valuable to these brands as well. So they really know like, what is it that they need to do? Is boba tea part of it? Do they want those kind of like experimental people, or is that not actually applicable to what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of psychographics over demographics. I've had many debates over this, but the key thing is, if you want someone to buy, it's an internal thing. How do you evoke that emotion, or how do you invoke that action in order to get them to buy? And the best way of getting that data is to really understand their beliefs, their values, their hobbies. And there's no better place than social media, where people literally talk about everything and get into debates themselves and conversations, and there's no bias there. And it's a lot of data to consider, and when it starts making patterns, that really reveals the sort of psychographic audiences quite quickly, and the shared values and the communities that are out there. They're all talking about the same thing organically, and that's the magic. That's kind of the sweet spot, if you like, in terms of what we can get from this data.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about like the missed opportunity? Maybe it happened over in the UK. I don't know if it happened here in the States, but like I would have loved to have seen Bridgerton tea parties. Like, I'm not gonna say like I watch it or anything. It's like that's not what we're talking about today. But what I thought, like, that you had mentioned that like it was obviously a trend. People people were taking advantage of it, influenced by the show. What a great way to bring that IRL in real life, and draw that connection with the beverage as well as the show.
Well, 100%. I mean, Netflix have brought that season out. What is it? It's on third or fourth now. But that's happened every single time. The Tea Party movement online. So, Netflix knew about that. Then essentially you can encourage that type of behavior. And how amazing is that for going viral? And well, Bridgerton is a power on its own, but at the same time, getting people that immersed, I think is really key to have people, more people talking about it outside the realms of just watching it. So with the fad and the trend thing is really difficult, right? Because we know that TikTok and YouTube are full of fads. And how do we distinguish a fad from a trend? So a trend is basically something that is steady but is going up slowly, and a fad is just kind of spike and down. But those fads can repeat themselves as well. So just knowing the triggers for those fads can get you ahead of it, and you can get the reach on those fads. But with trends, you kind of need to keep an eye on them, whether they are macro or micro trends, just kind of making sure that they're, the team are aware of them from perspective of them being visible. The whole potato thing at the beginning, it's kind of, you can't unsee it. So when you do see it and you're having those conversations all the time, that macro trend is kind of starting to reveal itself, and you're already ahead of the game. I think that's kind of the key thing.
Yeah, and the icing on the cake is Penny and Colin found their way, right? And they found their way together. But again, that's more of the show and not the trends here. But I think with the coffee and tea IQ and why this worked out so well, and we can talk about the offer here that we have too, is that we were able to supply the data and then also to highlight some of those trends, right? And the reason why we call it trend surf is like we catch a wave, it's all about timing, right? You got to be just ahead of it in order to really take advantage of it and ride that into the shore. So to your point, how do you find emerging or bubbling trends, keywords, themes that you can take advantage of and know, hey, what's the velocity of that trend? So is this going to be more of a fad, or does this have some sustainability to it where we can see this for weeks, perhaps months coming up here? So that was I think that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, should we go ahead.
No, all good. I was green.
That's great. Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Well, I think, Chris,
so,
that's a good point. We actually have a couple questions that have been like dropped into the chat too, just like about trends and like how can we identify, do trends resurface? And like to Tina's point, like, yes, trends totally resurface. Bridgerton has showed up every time the seasons come, and like they've done a great job of kind of owning that space. So once again, I think it goes back to like knowing your consumer. Is the person that you are advertising to and that you want to buy your product and to use your goods, do they like Bridgerton? Are they following this? And if so, then when Bridgerton season comes out, host a tea party. You can expect it to happen. Make a whole sensory event for it. Maybe like you have a really great location. You can do a pop-up shop and do a whole Bridgerton tea party thing. So I think like identifying those trends are definitely, and identifying those segments that you want to be able to target, you'll be able to find the trends within those as they start to emerge, and the ones that kind of just keep recurring as well. And so, Chris, I know you're excited to talk about how you can do that for your brand, so please do.
Yeah, let's do it. Do we want to kick into the offer? Is there perfect? There, like we almost rehearsed it. So so this is, and it's good to say, and again, thanks for everyone for tuning in today. And this is just one of the many reasons why we're so lucky and excited to be partnering with Tina on this, because we get to supply the data, the insights and all the trends, and then she gets to do her thing and provide all of the research and the psychoanalytics on what's actually happening, and more importantly, why it's happening. I think that's a huge context and huge value add that you offer to us, and then of course all of your clients as well, is not just the what but the why, and what's the velocity again on that trend. And so what we're doing is we have a packaged offer here between Viral Moment and Sweet Spot, where you're going to get a playbook of your choice, and again we can talk about that in one of the follow-ups here, as well as 3 months of our Trend Surfer IQ. And I think it's important to note too that, hey, today we talked about coffee and tea, but this is really brand agnostic. So both Viral Moments and Sweet Spot have worked outside of coffee and tea brands. And so if you're trying to understand, hey, what are people saying, are consumers saying about your brand across social video, be it TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or the like, and you want to understand the why and the psychographics of that conversation, we'd love to have a conversation. We'd love to chat with you, right? So if you're interested in getting more information on that, drop a crystal ball emoji within the chat, and we'll make sure to reach out to you, and we'll make sure to follow up with you. But we've got this limited offer. Again, it's going to be valid until August 14th. where you get to try out the best of both worlds, get the data as well as the research into one package. And again, we can learn and figure out how we can support you and your brand. Cool. Anything I may have missed? Tina, Elizabeth, what are your thoughts?
Go for it, Tina.
Yeah, all good. I was just going to say, I think Erin has brought this up in the chat, in terms of providing the insights for other brands other than coffee and tea. So just to reiterate what Chris has said, I mean, we've worked together a few times. So in terms of sort of what we're doing, we can, like I said earlier, we can look at brands, we can look at services, we can look at deep dives into certain communities. I'm really a fan of making this data and the insights not just about social media. I think it really is sort of 360 type insights. You can use it for shopper, you can use it for social media, of course, but you can use it for above the line, below the line, website, really anywhere where you kind of want to feel relatable to your target audience. So if that's just kind of the direction and focus that you need, then we'd love to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. This has been amazing. Like, what a crazy deep dive into tea and coffee culture, just understanding the types of consumers, who's leading the conversations, why do they matter, why does your brand matter? We know that like smaller companies are able to hop on some of these trends a lot faster, but if you already understand who is your tribe that you want to go after, then utilizing data like what we have at Viral Moment, you'll be able to find those trends really, really quickly. And I think that's really important for making sure that your company stays relevant, that your products stay on point, you're able to release things that actually, matter to the consumers, and they'll get on those wait lists and they'll pre-order the stuff, and they'll be really excited about sharing it, and it'll be way easier to get that traction that you need. So this has been awesome. I am super excited to give this out. So we'll go ahead and send out this amazing deck that Tina's put together to everybody after the call as well. So keep an eye on your inboxes. You can always reach out to us as well. hello@viralmoment.com. If you have any questions for us, if you want to chat a little bit further, we'll make sure that those who drop those crystal ball emojis get in contact with Chris and Tina so you can learn more about how this actually happens and what we can do for your brand. We have more amazing conversations coming up from Viral Moment, a new webinar series, just diving into other aspects of the industries as well. So we're super excited to keep working with Tina in the sweet spot on getting more of these insights to you, showcasing you like who matters and why it matters to your brands. Without further ado, it is 8:47 in the morning here in California, so I'm going to need another cup of coffee, but I think we're good to go.
Yeah. All good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We can't wait to do it again. This is too much fun.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.